Welcome to Mystery Files, where we take a deep dive into cases that span from the creepy to the truly bizarre and everything in between. I'm Shane, and today I'll be forcing my colleague Ryan to hear all about the mischievous case of Jeff the mongoose. In the end, you'll have to decide if the mystery is solved or if it's simply a mystery.
Jeff the mongoose, what could this possibly be about, huh?
It's about a mongoose named Jeff.
Is he a good mongoose?
I think you'll end up liking him quite a bit. There's a lot to learn here today, so let's begin. The year was 1931. On the Isle of Man, in an isolated farmhouse named Dorlish Cashen, the well-to-do Irving family suddenly started hearing odd noises and scratching sounds in the walls of their home.
Did you say Isle of Man? Like
Man.
Man, not non.
Not non.
That would be tasty.
No, Man, Isle of Man.
Okay, not as enticing.
Suspecting mice or other small vermin, James Irving tried to root out the animal by using poison, traps, and even a gun.
Wait, what?
Well, you know, you see a mouse, you go...
Oh,
like
but
in
you said
Ratatouille.
tried to like lure him out. Like, why would a gun lure?
No, I think he was probably shooting at the walls.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was just sitting by the mouse hole like, come on. Come out.
Make my day.
I definitely don't have a gun pointed at you.
Now, despite James's best efforts, the mysterious critter always managed to elude capture. Eventually, the family would discover that the source of their sleepless nights was, of all things, a furry little mongoose who went by the name Jeff.
Come on. My name's Jeff. It's so good every time.
The Irvings described Jeff as yellowish in color with a long, slightly brown, bushy tail and about the length of 3 rats.
That's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Look at his eyelashes. They're beautiful.
They're gorgeous.
Is that picture accurate? Did he have gorgeous eyelashes like that?
I think maybe all mongooses do.
I don't think I've ever seen a mongoose.
Well,
I'm starting to realize I don't see a lot of animals.
Yeah, you don't.
Only my pee-pee man.
Yeah. Now, mongooses, not mongoose, are not native to the Isle of Man. Jeff would spend his early days growling, hissing, and squeaking at the family. It was all these strange little noises that set James to wondering if the creature was perhaps capable of mimicking the sounds of other animals.
I gotta say, that picture not as cute as the drawing.
You don't think so?
This looks like a fucking demonic squirrel.
He's got those like sort of devil eyes.
Yeah, he's got those devil goat eyes.
The oblong pupils. I see those oblong pupils on a thing, I want to behead it.
I'd shoot this mongoose with a gun so
You would?
quickly. Anything that's willing to fight a snake, not to be trifled with.
I'll bet you $1,000 neither of us will ever come into contact with a mongoose for the rest of our lives.
I mean, I've avoided it thus far.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So James, along with his wife Margaret and their daughter Voira, started making different animal sounds at their hidden guest. Within a few days, the curious creature was able to make the sound of a bird, a dog, whatever animal the family could name. That's crazy, right?
Wait, what?
Whatever animal the family
Is
could
there any
name.
proof of this? Because I'd love to see it.
So you could say like peacock.
That was pretty good.
That was really good.
Do it again. I'm like Jeff.
Alligator. Yes. Prairie dog. Very good. Hummingbird. Squirrel. You ever hear a squirrel bark?
No, what does a squirrel bark
Go.
like? That's what they sound like?
Yeah, you can hear them barking every now and then. It's pretty
That's
funny.
crazy.
Ready to test the limits of their little mongoose's brains, young Voira decided to recite nursery rhymes to it.
These people are nuts.
You think so?
I wonder if you can do impressions. Let's read it a story. What the fuck?
Immediately, the creature would repeat the rhymes in his high-pitched little voice, said to be 2 octaves higher than a human's. Soon he started to parrot the family's conversations, slowly mastering the ability to communicate.
When's the real story gonna start? This is a bit, right? There's no way this is the real story.
He started talking.
No, I will not give you a divorce.
Higher.
No, I will not give you a divorce.
Yeah, but not just repeating, but mastering the ability to communicate.
So he's not just like a parrot. In other
No.
ways. You're telling me about a mongoose that can talk right now, so.
That's what I'm telling you about.
Like Rocket Raccoon.
A little bit. Once capable of speech, the mongoose was finally able to introduce himself as Jeff. If this little guy came up to you and started talking, you'd be pretty...
It's like that one time I thought that cat talked to me.
Yes. We tell that story a lot, and it's never exciting, but
No.
it did happen.
It did happen.
Jeff introduced himself. His name is Jeff. They
get
did
it.
not name him.
Oh, cool.
He told them,
My name's Jeff.
okay.
You're like, all right, Jeff.
He claimed to have been born in New Delhi nearly 80 years earlier on June 7th, 1852, and that he'd arrived on the Isle of Man in 1912 when a farmer introduced a mob of mongooses to his farm to contain the wild rabbit population. What a rich life.
Is this coming from their memoir, or are they telling this to the psych ward that they're at, or like?
Well,
where?
you'll find out that this was widely reported. This was not just the family.
Okay, because I don't know why this story exists, who they were telling it to.
Why does any story exist? You know, we're weavers of dreams, aren't we?
I certainly
We're just
would
like
say so.
we're like bad robot.
Let's hear more about this mongoose that came from New Delhi.
Okay, well, some sources say it was actually the family members who first started calling him Jeff, and that he just liked the name. And there's that for you.
My name's Jeff. My name's Jeff. I got a passport.
Jeff also claimed that the disturbing noises he'd made upon first meeting the family were just meant as an introductory joke or a leg pull. And when later asked about James's early efforts to trap or even harm him, Jeff said he and James had laughed it off long ago. It's rumored that the mongoose was so clever that not only did he know words in multiple languages such as Welsh, Hindustani, Spanish, and Russian, but that he also knew sign language.
This fucking guy was signing. That's crazy, dude. Oh my God.
I mean, he's a very talented little mongoose.
That is fantastic.
We love Jeff. Now, Jeff could also read, which he supposedly proved when he screamed after reading the obituary of a man who shared his name. Not the name Jeff the Mongoose, just named Jeff.
Ah, me. It's me. Is that me? Am I dead? Me quiero.
Jeff also suffered from a strong case of cleithrophobia, or the fear of getting captured, a condition suffered by non-speaking mongooses as well. And so he would rarely allow himself to be observed lest he find himself caught. Because of this, Jeff chose to remain hidden safely in the walls of the Irvings' home. Jeff was also extremely agile. Voira once tried to take his picture, but he ran off just as she pressed the button. Life with Jeff was a little chaotic, to say the least. A mercurial critter. He was charming one minute, volatile the next. If you had a little talking mongoose living in your walls, now that seems kind of nice, right? It's like Siri, but better.
I said this before in a previous Mystery Files. If I had the ability to talk to my dog,
Oh yeah,
I'd do it in a
that's
second.
basically what this is.
He would probably be saying the dumbest shit on earth, but I would love to hear it.
When angry, he would throw little rocks or objects at the family members through small holes bored into the wood-paneled walls. He even threatened the family once, saying,
I could kill you if I liked, but I won't.
All right.
that's kind of fun, having a little guy in your walls who's threatening to kill you all the
No,
time.
I don't know about that.
What's he gonna do, chew your throat out? Well, I guess he could do that.
Yeah, I don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah. Of himself, Jeff once said,
I am a freak. I have hands and I have feet. And if you saw me, you would faint. You'd be petrified, mummified, turned into a stone or a pillar of salt.
I think I'd take the gun back out at this point. This guy needs to shut the fuck up.
Now, in better times, Jeff would often sing and dance in the little sanctum the family created for him in Voira's room. He'd sometimes even bounce a ball along to the gramophone's music. The accomplished little hunter would also leave offerings of strangled rabbits for the family in order to earn his keep.
Just thinking of him signing to a rabbit, I'm gonna kill you, and there's
I guess the strangling never quite. I always assumed he would just like kill him with his claws or
No,
something. But the thought of
just
it being like,
I'm doing this for my family. I can't wait to see the light leave your eyes. Shut up.
well, in 1934, Jeff decided to expand his horizons and explore the nearby town, often by catching the local bus or hitching a ride on the back of axles of cars. It's purported that the clever critter was able to calculate the bus fare needed for the trip. Upon returning from his adventures, Jeff would have a fresh round of gossip from his time amongst the townsfolk to share with the family.
We're proceeding with the story as if it's normal for an animal to talk, like he's Paddington Bear or something.
Yeah.
Nobody on the bus was alarmed that a mongoose just paid a fare and said, hello?
Hey, it's a different culture.
Okay.
Isle of Man,
He signed to them without thumbs?
Well, he probably just went like,
Hi! Okay.
In time, sightings of Jeff were no longer contained to just the Irving family. James's friends and neighbors also claimed to have seen the elusive Jeff through the small holes in the Irving's walls. Nicknamed the Derby Spook, word of Jeff eventually hit the newspapers. Reporters from London traveled all the way to the Isle of Man hoping to interview the now famous mongoose. Allegedly, the Irving family even received a generous offer from an American agent hoping to bring Jeff to the States for a tour. But due to Jeff's fear of being trapped, he refused the deal. I'd offered Jeff a picture deal. Bring Jeff to Hollywood.
That's right.
He would have been a star.
He could have been a star.
Can you imagine if Fred Astaire was like doing one of his little numbers and he was like, and ladies and gentlemen, and then little Jeff come out?
And then it cuts to a black and white photo, Hollywood true story. Yes, but his story backstage was much darker. Cut to him just strangling a rabbit. Jeff, no, Jeff!
Now, as you can imagine, the sudden attention was a lot to bear, and as Jeff Mania spread across the map, the gentle mongoose found himself retreating from the public eye. Instead of chatting with his new visitors, he'd often make noises at them. Jeff also piqued the interest of London's Spiritualist Society, attracting the attention of both Harry Price, a parapsychologist and ghost hunter, and Nandor Fodor, a research officer for the International Institute for Psychical Research. You know these guys? These heroes of yours?
I was about to say,
Good names.
Does it horrify you that one day you're going to be a framer on a screen just like this, Shane Madej, ghost hunter?
Yeah, but I hope, there's some context.
It's going to be a big ass shadow for your head.
Right there.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good. In his book, Confessions of a Ghost Hunter, Harry Price stated that it was a letter from James's friend that first introduced him to Jeff. Curious, he wrote to James asking about this marvelous mongoose, and James happily replied with stories of Jeff as well as an invitation to come meet him. Not yet convinced, Harry kept in mind the plethora of traditional British folklore that spoke of fae-like creatures who were animal in form but human in intelligence, and decided that the case was at least worth investigating. Before Harry visited Jeff, he first sent his friend and fellow researcher, whom he refers to in his book as Captain X, but other sources have said to be Captain James MacDonald, to do a preliminary investigation in February of 1932. In Captain X's subsequent report, he stated that while he had heard Jeff speak, he never actually saw the mongoose. While Jeff made it known that he hated it when guests would question his existence, James asked Jeff if Captain X could return 2 years later in 1934. Jeff agreed, and on his visit, Captain X was given samples of Jeff's fur, said to have been personally plucked by the mongoose.
Why did he just show himself then?
He was shy, and he said,
"Don't worry, I plucked some hair for you."
And he gave him the hair, probably in a little envelope or something, and spoke to him through the wall.
Ridiculous. If you introduced me to your friends and I refused to come out, but I said, here's a couple strands of my hair.
Oh, I can't make it out tonight, but I'll send you some hair.
Don't worry, that won't be weird. That'll put them at ease.
The fur was sent in for testing and was determined to be dog fur, with no roots attached, implying that they were cut as opposed to plucked. Giving the benefit of the doubt, Harry suggested that perhaps Jeff cut the hair from the Irving's dog and passed it off as his own in order to cause confusion.
Tricky little Jeff.
Now that's the mind of a mongoose.
Cutting out the...
Hold still!
Whoa! Taking a little off the top!
He's just chasing the dog around the house.
With these whiskers.
I've got a pork chop!
All right, in the summer of 1935, Harry Price finally decided to come and meet Jeff. But just as Harry confirmed his plans, Jeff, unexpectedly, went missing. Despite Jeff's disappearance, Harry decided to follow through with his plans, bringing along BBC Magazine editor Richard Rex Lambert to act as witness.
Mr. R.S. Lambert pointing to a break in the sod hedge where Jeff is alleged to leave the rabbits he killed.
There appears to be a break in the sod hedge.
Yeah.
Bit of a break in the sod hedge where he leaves a rabbit he killed.
Just a pit of 50 strangled rabbits.
It appears Jeff's been on a murder spree lately.
Serial killing mongoose.
When the men arrived, Jeff had already been missing for a month, though Margaret Irving suspected that he was actually in hiding. Despite Harry's best efforts at making contact, the men had to leave without a single interaction with the mischievous little mongoose. Miraculously, the cheeky critter returned the night Harry and Rex left. It seemed that Margaret was correct. Jeff had been secretly observing them the whole time as he was offended by Rex's skepticism. Later, Harry was sent plasticine imprints of Jeff's paw and teeth. The imprints were sent to the British Museum for authentication, where it was found that the paw print was likely that of a dog.
These people will need to be put in prison. They didn't really do anything too bad, but they've annoyed me enough that they need to be put in prison.
They've annoyed you.
They need to be put to jail.
They're just having some fun. And you also,
They can have fun in jail.
let's not jump the gun here. We haven't gotten into the theories yet.
Okay.
And you don't know that this isn't real.
Sure.
Okay.
You're right. No, I don't know that.
Soon after, James Irving fell ill and Voira moved out of the family home, prompting Jeff to either leave or stop speaking altogether. Oh, broke his poor little mongoose heart. In 1937, Margaret sold the farm to a man named Graham, who was purported to have killed an unusual animal on the farm resembling some kind of large weasel.
They're like, oh, Jeff isn't talking anymore. Let's sell the house. Guy moves in. Jeff's like, hi!
What the fuck is that?
Just immediately blows him away.
Go to hell, you little vermin! Some reports stated that the animal was killed a year after Graham bought the property, while others say it happened in 1947. Now, there is no confirmation on whether or not the animal killed was a mongoose. As time passed, the farmhouse was eventually demolished. In 1970, an older Voira was interviewed about Jeff, and she maintained the assertion that Jeff was real, never recanting her story. She passed away in 2005. So, you know what time it is, Ryan?
Corkboard time?
It's corkboard time.
That's right.
Jeff the mongoose. Jeff the mongoose. Now, what we're trying to figure out here is what the fuck is going on? Is it a hoax? Do these people believe something? Is one person doing this? Are a bunch of people doing this? A lot of people were swept up with Jeff fever, so there's clearly something going on.
I have my idea of what's happening here, but
Do you?
I'll wait till the theories come out here.
Okay, well, let's begin then.
Sure.
Theory 1, ventriloquism. Jeff was created by Voira, the daughter, who was known to be an amateur ventriloquist. We got
Googly eyes, yeah.
Can we really load up the googly eyes for the rest of this season? Do we have any spare googly eyes? Because I'll start putting them all over the boards.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna see a lot of googly eyes in
You're
my
gonna everything
episodes from
everywhere
here
all
on
at
out.
once.
One local reporter claimed to have heard Voira squeak in a very Jeff-like manner, though the family later denied it. Another allegation that might support this theory comes from a Daily Dispatch reporter. He had witnessed Margaret and a hidden Jeff having a conversation in another room. The reporter said that through an obstructed view of the mirror, which you can see here, here's a very in-depth diagram, he saw Voira sitting perfectly still, sucking on a piece of string with her hand positioned just so that her mouth could not fully be seen.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what the sucking a string has to do with
Yeah,
it.
I was about to say, is there any significance to the string sucking besides being weird as hell?
It's possibly that's just what they did for fun back then. Yeah, I don't quite know. But in any case, her mouth was
It sounds like an
obstructed.
old-timey insult. Like, go suck a
Oh,
string.
that's pretty good.
know?
Go suck a string, you weasel!
Yeah, that's right.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, in any case, the reporter alleges that when he entered the other room, Jeff stopped talking. However, the Irvings attest that Jeff had been heard while in Voira's presence and has appeared even when different members of the family were known to not be home.
Let me ask you this. Has Jeff and Voira ever been spotted talking at the same time?
According to the family, yes. But Jeff was allegedly also very shy, so, they probably heard Jeff through the walls. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Oh, we have a little Jeff here.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if this reads as sort of convincing,
Okay.
Now, I'm not a trained ventriloquist,
Didn't need to tell me that.
so I've invited you over and I've introduced you to my little friend Jeff. Jeff, say hello.
Hello, Ryan.
I mean, I can see your mouth moving.
Hello, Ryan.
You just turned your face away, and I still can see your mouth moving.
Hello, Ryan.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Your whole face is moving.
No, I'm smiling.
Hello, Ryan.
You're next.
Do you have any
You know what?
questions
It's pretty
for me,
convincing if I
Jeff?
just like focus on the mongoose and don't
Yes.
look at your face. If I completely ignore what you're supposed to do as a ventriloquist, it's very convincing.
Don't look at the man who's holding me. Just look at me, the little mongoose.
If hearing that it's good is what gets you to stop doing this, then it's
No.
very good.
My
It's
name-
incredibly good.
My name's Jeff. What's your name? I don't know why I sound Spanish. Do you have a question for Jeff? Okay, well, it was so nice to meet you. And now I have to go to Hollywood.
Oh.
I'm going to be in a picture with Fred Astaire.
All right, Jeff, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye. Oh.
I mean, you can imagine if you showed up to a house in the Isle of Man
He's strangling a rabbit back there.
100 years ago. Jeff, no!
No, not Jeff, no!
Pretty convincing stuff.
I'd say so.
On to theory 2. It was a hoax. Yes, it was a straight up lie. Between the dog hair and the dog footprint, it's possible that Jeff was simply an elaborate dog and pony show put on by the Irvings. However, if Jeff was fabricated by the family, their motivations were not clear. I think we can all agree.
I was thinking that, I'm pretty sure this is a hoax, but why?
As it turns out, announcing to the world that your home contains a talking magic mongoose that only you can see is not exactly a path to fame and fortune.
And they didn't even agree to the world tour.
Yeah.
They didn't think about the part where we can monetize this, and then they realized they got to prove it though.
Yeah, Harry Price came over and he was like, well, of course you have to prove it. And they were probably like,
Jeff is nervous.
this is gonna ruin the tour. The world tour.
Yeah, exactly. Very good.
The Irving family never made any money from all the spectacle. In fact, all the publicity actually devalued their farmhouse. Any fame gained was also marred by skepticism and naysayers throwing doubt on the otherwise well-to-do family's reputation.
And they got Jeff killed.
They killed our sweet boy!
The house lost its value, and then as soon as somebody moved in, they shot him with a revolver.
I feel like if you're selling your farmhouse that has a magic mongoose,
Yeah.
I'd at least tell the new buyer. It seems
It'd be
like,
like-
if someone was murdered in the house, you tell them about that.
No.
I feel like a similar clause with magic mongooses. It'd be like, hey, just a heads up.
You hear
if
a little
you
voice.
see a mongoose, it may talk and chat with you and want to be friends.
That's
So
right.
don't shoot it on sight. All right, on to theory 3, which I think you're going to like. Maybe. Theory 3, Jeff was a poltergeist. Now, what does that mean, Ryan? Poltergeist, can you translate that for me?
Yeah, it's like a mischievous ghost that would be, moving stuff around the house. Is this positing that a ghost possessed a mongoose, or that it was never a mongoose to begin with?
This was actually posited by some of your people.
And your people.
No.
And your people.
Some psychic researchers have suggested that Jeff was either a poltergeist or a ghost that haunted the family. According to folklore, poltergeists tend to connect to specific people, often an adolescent. Now, Voira was 13 when Jeff first appeared. Poltergeists are also typically aggressive or violent towards their bonded person, which Voira initially experienced with Jeff, even having to sleep in her parents' room for a while. When asked, Jeff would often refer to himself as an, quote, earthbound spirit, though Margaret asserted that Jeff was an animal, not a spirit or ghost. Now, Nandor Fodor, who you recall from earlier, the other previously mentioned researcher, suspected that Jeff was actually James's creation, given the similarities between their personalities. Nandor posited that James missed and craved the stimulating conversation that only sophisticated company could provide, and that through this conflict in his subconscious, he managed to manifest Jeff, thereby using the poltergeist as a way to lure more interesting people to him.
I don't know about this one. I mean, they clearly saw a mongoose talking is the thing. That was the whole story. He was dancing and playing maracas and shit like that.
Yeah, allegedly. God, I hope he played maracas.
Little tiny maracas. I don't even know how he's holding them. He didn't have thumbs. Then again, he was sign language. He was using sign
That's right.
language, so maybe he found a way.
It should be noted that, similar to Harry Price and the mysterious Captain X, Nandor Fodor also failed to lay eyes upon Jeff during his visit. Out of all of these, Ryan, which would you say is the most convincing.
No theory 4, Jeff was real?
That is not a theory we're entertaining. I've had a lot of fun with this episode. I think it's a delightful story.
That's crazy, man.
I think it would betray my own sort of instincts to put a theory 4, this was all real.
What if it was?
I mean, if you want it, I'll take it. If you want to go all in on Jeff, and
I'm pushing all my chips in.
yeah, I mean, I'll happily just stake all my reputation on the whimsy of believing that Jeff was real.
I'm gonna go with theory 2.
You're gonna go with theory 2 that it was all
Mainly
hoax.
just because anytime it came to pony up, so to speak, and show Jeff to these folks that are coming all this way to see him.
Also, if it did start as sort of a fun lark that just got out of control, then you can see how like the ever-escalating bits of like trying to prove it with like, no, just give him some dog hair. Say he's not here right now. Oh, fuck, they're coming to check him out.
Here's the footprints.
Yeah, these are people who are clearly wanted to keep going.
It would have been fun to me if it was just the local townsfolk that they were kind of hoaxing. But once you start getting people to buy plane tickets, like airfare,
then I think it's even funnier.
That's when I don't like that, because it's just like, you know, you're making people spend money, wasting their time, and then you come and give them dog hair and like a fake like dog print. I think these people should be in prison.
Despite a lack of definitive proof, Jeff's legend and legacy have long outlived the Irving family, inspiring several books and at least one movie without a final answer or explanation. And because this one is just a fun one, let us say that the curious case of Jeff the Talking Mongoose shall forever remain a mystery. Maybe he was real.
Is it a mystery though?
In our heart of hearts, we know that he was real.
Okay.
He was real and he should be on their money.
That's right.
They should have little Jeff bucks over there in the Isle of Man. I don't know if they're on the euro or not, but they shouldn't be.
That'll be 2 Jeffs, please.
You like Jeff?
I'd love for him to be real. How about that?
Me too. Me too.
See you next week, everybody. And remember, I can kill you if I want.
That's right, Jeff. See you next week. All right.
I'm lighting on Shane. What could possibly go wrong? Oh,